If any of you were watching Married at First Sight UK last night, you might have seen Beck and her mum talking about a potential impending move for Beck. So Beck and Bailey live at opposite ends of the country. They believe that they've found their person, which is just lovely to see. But Beck was having a chat with her mum about it last night because she's really got the weight of the world on her shoulders at the moment, because if anybody would have to move, it would be Beck, because Bailey has a daughter who lives in Hove. So she's already contemplating uprooting her whole life away from her friends, away from her family, everything that she knows, and her business, everything that she knows. And that's a huge decision for her to make. But crikey, her mum layered it on last night when it came to, you know, what mum wanted. And I just want to share with you some of the comments that mum said throughout the conversation. And at no point, I have to say, did mum ever allude to the fact that Beck needs to do what's right for her. So mum's comments were things like, "You belong here. Looking after my grandchildren is everything to me." So they were talking about Beck potentially having children and how she would miss out on that. Obviously, this isn't ideal for me. It would change our relationship because we're so close, and that must have jarred with Beck, I'm sure. "I don't know how I would cope without you. It would break my heart if you left, and I just want her to be here." Now that's all about mum. Nothing to do with Beck. And there wasn't, you know, I'm not just picking out the bits. There was nothing in there that was about what Beck needed and wanted. Now, this will have made Beck's decision even harder, because there's almost a threat that it's going to somehow impact her relationship with her mother. And the reality is, of course, when we live far apart, we don't see people every day, and that can create a change in the relationship, but it doesn't have to destroy it. But what can destroy it is when a parent is dependent on their child, because the child knows this. The parent, I don't think Beck's mum is even aware of the level of dependency she has on Beck. And I don't think she's aware of the weight that she's putting on her shoulders. And it made me so sad to see, you know, Beck was saying, you know, "I'm so grateful to have you in my life." She's your mum, you know, she chose to have you. You don't need to be grateful to have your parent in your life. So she was really validating of her mum, but her mum wasn't able to do the same back. Now, the fact of the matter is that children who recognise that there's a dependency there, that their parent is dependent on them, they are aware of it. And there's a few things that can happen here. There can come a point where the child or the adult child just snaps and goes, I can't do this anymore. You know, I'm having to not make the right choices for me because I'm looking after my parents' needs and desires. And that's really sad, because once that moment of realisation hits, all of a sudden the adult child can often then start to realise all the times that they've met their parents' needs over and above their own. So it's really important that we recognise what's going on in our relationship with our child, and recognise that if we're feeling that degree of dependency, and of course we want our children close to us, even in their adult lives, we want to share their lives with them, but that's not our right. It's not their job to take care of us. It's our job to empower them to live their best life in the best way they can, whatever that looks like. So the moral of the story here is that, you know, although we might feel these feelings as parents, it's so important for us to be able to manage them ourselves, empower our children, because if we don't, then resentment can build. And that's when resentment builds between a parent and a child, or an adult child, that's where disconnection starts to happen. And that would be tragic, because they, you know, Beck and her mum clearly have a really strong relationship, but essentially what Beck is being told to do is to choose, and that's not okay. Now, these are some of the silent things that can happen in our relationships with our children. And I don't think Beck's mum is doing anything with poor intention. I just think she doesn't have the awareness. But if you have this sort of dynamic in your family, maybe your parent is dependent on you, and you desperately don't want to pass that on to your child. And if you're a parent of a teen, you may also notice maybe they're thinking about going off to university and you're thinking, oh gosh, I don't want them going too far away because I'll never see them or they won't be a part of my life. I'm going to encourage them to go to a more local university. This is not to say that you're doing anything wrong. I completely understand that you want your child to be a part of your life. Of course you do. But actually, is that in the interest of your child? And it's really important to remember these sort of family patterns that happen can be untangled relatively easily with the awareness. So if you are a parent of a teen and you can see that this theme is happening in your family, not necessarily with you, or you're finding yourself fearful that your teen is going to move too far away, and you want to do a little bit of a deeper dive in this, then schedule a free mini home audit with me, because I would love to chat with you. Because as I say, these can be untangled relatively easily. Bye for now.